Hi everyone, I am Vijay Chandola and in this video I am going to talk about how to create an immediate impact on the hiring managers by using action verbs in front of each one of your bullet points and improve your chances of getting shortlisted. So let's get started.
A hiring manager is interested in knowing what exactly was your contribution in a particular activity. If you have worked on an internship, what exactly was your contribution in that internship? If you have worked in a particular organization, then what was the work that was assigned to you and how did you perform that activity? So let's look at how we can ensure that only and only what was your contribution is appearing in your resume bullet points. So how do typically hiring managers read your resume? So this is an important point. Um, Hiring managers look at your resume and then they read just first one or two or three words at max. In most of the times they'll read things like this: developed an internal tool, okay, improved UX, okay, 20 projects, okay. So they just tend to read first few words, and once they have read those first few words, they'll just skim the remaining information and go ahead by and read the next bullet points. What does that say? That clearly says that first 2-3 words of the bullet points will make the most impact. And if you really want to make an impact on the hiring manager, these first 2-3 words have to be really good, and these are having the meat of the information that you want to convey from that bullet points. These 2-3 bullet points, these 2-3 words should tell what action did you perform while you were working on a particular activity. Let me show you what do I mean by showing your contribution. So one way of saying, or one way of writing a bullet point is saying that you worked on data automation project associate for project work. So you were a data automation project associate for a project work. Now, while you were a data automation project work, what did you do is something which is not very clear here, right? So were you cleaning the data, or were you someone who was creating a dashboard, or were you someone who was writing the code for automation? That is not very clear, and this precisely is the reason when an interviewer looks at a bullet point like this, he or she sometimes asks whatever is forming in their mind. And you might be wondering that, this is something that I have never done, but why is this person asking me this question? So your job is to ensure that you are clearly telling the hiring manager that what exactly was your contribution. So you can change it by adding a very powerful action verb, which is reduced. So it says reduce manual efforts by doing something like this. In similar fashion, another person says that he is a coordinator of analytics event organizing. So he says that he was a coordinator. Now, what does that coordinator do? Was he a logistics manager? Was he a sponsorship bringing guy? Or was he someone who was handling people? Or was he someone who is just doing an anchoring in that event? Nothing is very clear. Now, this person clearly says, this line can be changed to first the action verb, organize, as in you organize the event, right? And while you are organizing, what exactly did you do will follow in that bullet points. So the bullet points that you are mentioning, that you are creating for your resume, should start with the action verbs. These action verbs will ensure that whatever you have done will come at the top. Let me look at few more examples. Right, so it clearly says that you have reviewed something, you have identified gaps, and you have created some omni-channel. So it clearly tells quickly what exactly did you do, instead of saying that you are responsible for something. Because when you say you are responsible for doing something, that means it becomes very generic and it becomes open to interpretations, and you would want to avoid that. In similar fashion, you can look at more such examples such as, you received an award, you built a regression model, you worked on a minimum viable product, you built some all-terrain vehicle, you designed and created a bot, you translated a product roadmap into something. Now what this does is that even if, let's say, the hiring manager doesn't have a lot of time, he or she will have a fair amount of idea about what exactly was your contribution in a particular kind of project. Okay. Now, if you want to get a list of an action verbs, what you can do is that you can go to the description. In description, we have given a link. You can get the list of those action verbs for absolutely free. Just click on that link and get the action verbs and try and see what kind of action verbs are matching with your profile and use those action verbs in your resume.
If you are finding the content of this video helpful, then consider liking this video right now and subscribe the channel to get more updates on job search from ThinkSage.
So the point here is that the action verbs tell what exactly was your contribution, like I have already described many times in this video, and the action verbs help you influence the question that is being asked by the interviewer. Whenever you are using those action verbs, it becomes very clear for the interviewers that this is what I need to ask questions about, and at least for you also it becomes very easy because you are going to be asked questions which will be specifically from the areas where you want the questions to be asked. Okay. So you might be wondering that, what if you have something really important and really critical, but you are not able to showcase that in your resume. If you are not able to put it in the first 1 or 2 or 3 words where the maximum impact is happening. So if you have something that important, if you have something on which you can speak on and on for 10, 12 minutes, then make that particular keyword in bold. When you do that, the attention immediately goes to that bold. The person reads it and he understands that this is something that you have done, which is important for your candidature. But if you are using more than 2-3 bolds in your resume, then that will actually create a problem for you, because in that case, the hiring manager gets confused with which one is important and which one is not. So they'll look at it. If it is sprinkled all over, then they will simply ignore the bold and then they'll just read the resume as if it has no bolds in the sentences. So if you want the hiring manager to look at just 2 things or just one thing that will ensure that you that will ensure that you get an edge over all other candidate, then use that 1 or 2 words in your resume as bold to get the attention of the hiring manager. Okay. Now, what you need to do in this video is that you'll have to work on an assignment. You'll have to rework on your resume by starting each and every bullet point of your resume using an action verb. If I show you the example of the resumes that I have, even in that resume, you will be able to see each and every bullet point has been started with an action verb. Developed, reduced, analyzed, received, identified, coordinated, conducted, designed. So what you need to do is, in similar fashion, you will have to start adding the action verbs in your resume.
So that's about it in this video. In the next video, we are going to talk about how to add measurable accomplishments in your resume bullet points. Till then, if you have any questions regarding any of your resume pointers, then put them in the comment box of this video. I'm going to answer all the questions that are relevant to the resumes.